Super Smash Bros. Boss and gaming legend Masahiro Sakurai he's definitely the most prominent voice to speak out on this topic, and to see somebody like this with this much pull in the industry, with so many successes, in recent history, come out and champion this position, it kind of lets you know that there are definitely changes afoot in gaming. It's just, can it happen before the entire Western industry collapses? Well, let's see. Nintendo legend Masahiro Sakurai pushes back against Western gaming trends, claims Japanese developers should avoid appealing to Western tastes. Guess what? I agree. Japanese gaming icon Masahiro Sakurai, creator of Super Smash Bros. And Kirby, has made headlines for his sharp insight on the state of the gaming industry and the Western trends currently dragging it down. Sakurai was recently honored with Japan's prestigious Art Encouragement Prize from the Agency of Cultural Affairs, recognizing his outstanding contributions to the gaming industry through his Masahiro Sakurai on Creating Games YouTube channel. Where he did a bunch of those character reveals and breakdown, for Smash Ultimate. Following this achievement, Sakurai participated in an interview with NTAX, where he addressed a growing trend plaguing the gaming world, the prioritization of Western tastes over authentic, homegrown creativity. It's something else that what the creators behind Dragon Quest were talking about, discussing the HD 2D remakes and how, Western influences, it's just easier to capitulate to them because they cause way too much of a fuss. So instead of making all of these changes ex post facto, it just ends up working its way into the development of the game. And we don't like it. We think that it's stupid, but, hey man, that's the way that the bosses tell us to play ball. So sucks to suck, I guess. But no offense, those guys are kind of old heads, and they're definitely from an older guard. And while their assessment is 100% correct, Sakurai is a voice that is still very much involved in the industry and very much has current day weight behind him. Sakurai stressed that the Japanese developers should focus on making games with domestic appeal. It is very contrary to other advice that we've heard recently, rather than chasing what they believe Western audiences want. Yes, he plainly stated, I think Japanese people should keep pursuing the things that Japanese people like. Well, this is sounding very jingoistic, Sakurai. I love it. The simple yet powerful statement carries major weight in today's climate, where many developers, both in Japan and the West, are bending over backwards to accommodate Western sensibilities, often at the cost of creativity and uniqueness. Sakurai's perspective isn't just irrelevant, it is a necessary reality check. The Western gaming industry has found itself stuck in a creative rut, obsessed with forcing social agendas, token characters, and politically correct narratives into its titles, rather than focusing on delivering engaging, well-crafted experience. Because you just take a look at everything that is bombed all the way up through 2024 and into 2025, if we just want to keep the examples recent, which are the games that overwhelmingly performed beyond everybody's wildest expectations. Black Myth Wukong, I think that game has been anticipated for a while, but was anybody really thinking that it would get 2 million plus concurrent players? I don't really think so, man. Pal World, same thing, it just came out of nowhere. Helldivers 2, what do those games specifically all have in common? No overt political stances. And then more recently, of course, you have Monster Hunter Wilds that's absolutely killing it. And then on the flip side of that, most recently, you have Avowed, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know at the time of recording, the game hasn't released yet, but I think we already know the trajectory of that bullshit. But whenever you have games that do something to sacrifice the overall enjoyment factor of a game, you end up with a dud on your hands. The games, Helldivers 2, not exactly a revolutionary title, but it was a fun game. It didn't redraw the lines of what it is to have a compelling third-person shooter. It played within those lines, and it became overwhelmingly successful. Same with Space Marine 2, an iteration on an established model drawing from the base of a beloved IP, and guess what? They've already greenlit Space Marine 3. If you build it properly, they will come. Sakurai gets this. Capcom Japan gets this. Square Enix Japan gets this. And now, of course, it lies to another studio that is very much caught between two worlds, and that is Sony, And inside Sony's internal battle, a look at the East-West clash dividing Sony and the gaming industry, which, it's interesting that Sakurai comes out with this statement on the back of Sony very publicly finding themselves at odds. with an industry that, thanks to certain developers, Neil Cuckman, have made it what it is. The ongoing Sony internal battle has become a massive issue in which Eastern and Western developers clash over divisive issues in the agenda in gaming. Mediating in his office overlooking the vast Tokyo skyline, symbol of Japan's commercial might, Sony CEO inhales a crisp Eastern air, honoring both his heritage and the nation's storied legacy. That's a new guy that just came in because he seems awfully based in comparison to Herman Hultz, who got demoted, but he's still in charge of Sony brands or something like that. So whatever, 6 of one, half a dozen of the next. Now, then if a Western scent slips into his nostrils, what is this, the fucking romance novel smut that we have right here? Okay, yes, Western market troubles. Yeah, there you have the most egregious addition thanks to Sweet Baby Inc.'s inclusion into God of War Ragnarok. And if you just go ahead and you remove her, or you just find some interesting mods that are out there to diminish her impact on the game, because it's not so much that she's black, it's that she's written like an idiot and ruins, or at least threatens to ruin, Atreus' overarching story. But Angrboda, I just get angry looking at her, is overwhelmingly the point of contention for people that enjoyed God of War Ragnarok. But consider The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, I will be next month when that remaster finally drops on PC and we can see how popular The Last of Us truly is. I can't wait to see that 4-digit count on Neil Druckmann's magnum opus. It's going to be beautiful. Naughty Dog's highly anticipated sequel moved just 10 million copies, down a staggering 40% from the original 17 million, while Ghost of Tsushima, a sleeper hit, reached 13 million. Yeah, Spider-Man 2, an Insomniac hit, only 10 million, a colossal 69, nice drop from its predecessor's 33 million. You could do the exact, they have one that I was going to bring up. You got Horizon Forbidden West, mustered 8 million against Zero Dawn's 20 million. What's the problem? What do all of these games have in common? Oh, I forgot to mention, Ragnarok sold 15 million versus the 23 million for the 2018 reboot, which I think is far closer. And because the PS4 port of Ragnarok wasn't really pushed as much as the PS5 one, I didn't know until I was doing specific research on it. I was just under the impression that was a PS5 only title, but no, you can get it on PS4. So I think a lot of the marketing around that ended up damaging that game, but still, 15 is smaller than 23. There was obviously a drop-off right there, but when that game came out in 2018, it was well hyped. It has been a long time since God of War has come around. It's not like it left on a sour note or anything like that. God of War Ascension wasn't that great, but people still had fond memories of 3, and doing this whole Dad of War thing, that was really cool. That was innovative, but that's not anything that you're going to see out here right now, because all you're just going to have is just girl boss after girl boss, non-binary after non-binary, and people are sick of this shit. Because you just take a look at Days Gone, which has done very well on PC as well, a title that had minimal backing, exceeded 7 million copies by 2022, potentially outpacing Last of Us Part 2 in the long run, yet a sequel was cancelled. Meanwhile, cost ballooned for Firewalk's Concord, which got into the hundreds of millions of dollars. You've heard reports somewhere in on and around $400 million for a game that couldn't even last 2 weeks in full release. And Sony Japan saw a landscape of bleeding revenue and dwindling fan trust. It's no minor glitch. It signaled a brewing Sony internal battle across oceans, ready to tear the Sony gaming empire in two. Yes. And Concord being pushed and believed in by all the higher ups, specifically Herman Hulst, that was his baby. And then, of course, Helldivers 2, how they managed to bungle what was the biggest game in 2024 at the time by going, hey, everything's just running so perfectly. We have really great communication with our audience. We're not going to put in the trans flag for your cloak or anything like that. We just got a fun game that we want people to play right here. But then at the same time, by the way, we're going to have to force a PSN account. And where did the fans go? Oh, right. They left and never came back because they can't trust you, because they don't know if you're going to rug pull them at a moment's notice. And then, Days Gone, which is a game that got, interesting, right? Because you had all the shill websites, give this a very lukewarm reaction. But when people actually had the ability to play the game, they quite liked it and they found it quite engaging. And because of every conceivable metric that it hit, you would think that a sequel would have gotten greenlit, but right, you've got a male protagonist on a masculine journey. Can't be having that out west, can we? Yes, despite lukewarm reviews, IGN famously gave it a middling score, dismissing its open world as generic. The 2019 Bend Studios release still built a large following, proving it could have long-term staying power. And so much that it is it just got announced. What was that, at the end of the year or the beginning of this year, that it's going to be getting a remaster, which it's a game that came out in 2022. Why the fuck do we need a remaster? But that's Sony, man. That's Sony in a nutshell. And then, of course, yeah, their most recent, I don't know, man. The more you look at it, the less hope that you have that Ghost of Yotei is going to be good. A lot of the development team that was working on Ghost of Tsushima isn't at Sucker Punch anymore. They've been replaced by much more diverse crew. Voice actress is a complete and total tard, but hey man, if the gameplay is still good, if they're just innovating off of the rubric that they already laid down in 2019, was that when Tsushima first came out? Or 2020 rather, they could have something there, but we haven't heard hide nor hair yet since the reveal in September of 2024 on Ghost of Yotei, and all we've heard behind the scenes is just a whole bunch of problems. It lets you know that the Western studios out of Sony, it's a fucking mess, okay? No Last of Us Part 3. Intergalactic Heretic Prophet is very likely going to be the end of Naughty Dog, and we don't even know when the fuck that game is going to be coming out. 26 at the earliest, I would bet 27. And then, of course, everything that we're seeing when it comes to the Marvel exclusive games coming out of Insomniac, it's like, is anybody really looking forward to that Wolverine game with a gap-eyed, slack-jawed Jean Grey? Yeah, I don't fucking think so, bro. It's tough. It's tough, but Sony's new CEO, something that we talked about not that long ago, seems to have his head screwed on right. Okay, they're definitely shuffling the deck quite admirably over at Sony of Japan. But are they going to listen to the likes of Masahiro Sakurai? Are they going to stop trying to capitulate to this whole Western ethos? Are they going to start making games for the Japanese? And if it just so happens to hit with them, just like it has over the past 30 years, the rest of the world will just chime in? We'll see, man. And as it's brought up right here, I think a lot of it rests on the success and what type of game we can expect with GTA 6. So funny, right? Because Rockstar already has a gigantic weight on their shoulders. And we already thought, you know, the way that that game goes is ultimately going to be the way of the Western gaming industry. But as it sits right now, could also be the way of the gaming world banking on this game's success. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.